How many times have you been to a speech contest and heard something like this? Bob didn't win. He didn't even come in third. That is insane. Are those judges on drugs? Or how about Mary won? Mary? Now don't get me wrong. I like Mary. She's a super nice person. But her speech was boring. Well, these things happen at speech contests. You never know who's going to win, and everybody is an armchair quarterback. The thing about speech contests is the meek may be victorious, and the haughty may be humbled. Now, having said all that, there are some things we expect out of a speech contest. We expect it to be done on time, strictly according to the rules, done fairly, and we expect the best speaker to win. Now, what are some of the obstacles that a judge might face that would impair their judgment? Now, one thing might be personal bias. Suppose you were a judge. Suppose you were a judge. And you said to yourself, okay, this one contestant, oh yes. This is the woman who stole my husband and drained my bank account. Would you be able to vote for that person as the winner? A speech contest is not the place to settle personal grudges. The alley outside after the contest is the proper place. Then there's the halo effect. And you know what I mean. The next contestant is Bob. Bob is awesome. Bob is the best speaker in the district. Why does anybody even bother to compete against Bob? Of course, Bob is going to win. Well, maybe not. Maybe Bob is just having an off year. Maybe someone else has entered the district and is better than Bob. So don't prejudge. But then again, you have the reverse halo effect. Bob, again, he has won 3 years in a row. The guy's ego is bigger than my mother-in-law's rear end. I am going to knock that haughty crown right off his head. That's not nice. Don't do that. Then there's rules, which aren't really rules. Now, we just heard a very interesting speech about what typically wins at an international speech contest, but we have to keep in mind good practice versus rules. We all know that an inspirational or motivational speech always has to win the international, right? No, not according to the rules. You can do any kind of speech you want for the international. So if somebody breaks the rules and does a humorous international speech, and it is the best speech, then you, as a judge, need to vote for that speech. Now, last spring when I was putting together the district contest, I asked one woman if she wanted to be a judge, and she gave me a very honest answer. She said, look, Bill, I would love to help out. I would love to be either a timer or a counter, but I don't want to be a judge. It's just too difficult at that level to pick out the best speech. And there's a lot of truth to that. I remember the spring contest very well. I remember all of the speeches. They were all really good. They were all very different speeches. If any of you were there, they ranged from creepy to humorous to poignant. But they were all great speeches. Now, when you're judging a speech contest, you have to keep in mind there are several different areas that you're judging. To just break it down into the broadest possible way of looking at it, you're judging speech writing, the content of the speech, as well as speech delivery. And just because a contestant is good at one of those things, they may not be equally good at the other. You might find yourself saying, wow, Bob's speech about the meaning of life was filled with such incredible insight, but he mumbled. On the other hand, Mary soared to the rhetorical heights of Winston Churchill, but her speech was about doghouse roof shingles. Now, fortunately, to guide us along this difficult journey, we have the Toastmasters speech guide and ballot, which some of you have a copy of and some of you don't. The reason why some of you don't is I didn't bring enough copies. And the reason why is because there's more people here tonight than we thought. But that's a good problem to have, right? You have nice attendance. So if you could share or something, but I'll go over it up here and I think everybody can follow along. Now, you'll first of all notice this is the Humorous ballot, which is one of the contests we're having this fall contest season. There is a different type of ballot for each speech contest. The international ballot is different, the evaluation ballot is different, and that's just as it should be because each speech has a different purpose and different things you want to direct your attention to. I like these ballots because they give you a nice focus as to what you should be looking at and a way of judging that reduces it to a numerical value, help you pick a winner. Now, I'm not going to go over this whole form here, but I'll take a look at a couple of the particular areas and see how they especially relate to the Humorous contest. For example, the first item, speech development, structure, organization. Does the speech follow logically? Does one point follow the next? Does the speech have an opening, a body, and a conclusion? Now, you might say to yourself, wait a minute, Bill, this is a humorous speech. Isn't the point that the guy just gets a laugh? Well, not really, because if you take a look at the rule book for speech contests and look at the rules for a humorous contest, it specifically says, thou shalt not do stand-up. You cannot go up there and just do a series of one-liners. It's got to be a speech. And believe me, I have seen some humorous speech contestants who have pushed that rule a lot. Now, two other items on here are effectiveness and audience response. And at first glance, these things seem to overlap a bit. However, effectiveness is more, how did the speech come across to you as the judge? Did you get the idea? Did it make sense? Was the humorous story or situation logical? Was it a good observation of life? Whereas audience response is, you're going to ask those same questions, but take a look at, well, what did the audience think about that? Now, in a lot of speech contests, it may be a little difficult to figure out what's in the audience's head, but in a humorous speech contest, what thing that the audience is doing is going to tell you how they liked the speech?
Laughter.
Exactly. I don't care how good a speech is, if I saw the audience sitting there stone-faced, I'm probably not going to vote for that contestant. Another couple of items here under the general heading of delivery is we have physical, appearance, body language, speaking area, voice, flexibility, volume, manner. Now, typically in a speech, we're going to expect somebody's going to have some physical movement, some gestures. We want to hear some vocal variety. Not too much, not too little. In a humorous speech contest, though, we're probably going to have somewhat more flexible guidelines for that, right? Because part of the humor might be crazy gestures about how some insane thing was happening to you, or changing your voice volume to imitate different people, or whatever. I can even think of some types of humorous speeches where you might be delivering the whole thing in a deadpan monotone. But if that suited the purpose of the humor and the speech was funny, so be it. A couple of other general comments. One thing you hear people recommend is you can fold the ballot over as you go along to try and hide the column from one contestant when you're evaluating the next, so that the score from the previous contestant does not affect your judgment on the next one. That's up to you. It's just something you can try if you like, but you have to be reasonably proficient at paper folding to do it. Sometimes I get ballots from people who did that, and they look like origami. They're beautiful. I'll finish up here by saying there's a lot more on this subject, but that gives you a general overview of what should be going through your mind. And I hope this will be going through your mind because I hope you all participate in the fall speech contest cycle. If you haven't competed before, give it a shot. It's fun. yes, you'll be a little nervous. You might not be able to eat your dinner, but it's nervous in a fun way. Or be a judge, or help set the contest up. Plus, I give you a hearty welcome to please come to the Fall District Conference and Contest right over in Fishkill, November 16th. If you come to the evening session, you will get to have a nice sit-down dinner, and you will get to see the Humorous speech contest, where the funniest people in the district will give you a chuckle. It's like going to stand-up comedy dinner theater, so come and bring your significant other. And if I see you're on the attendance list, you might just get an email from me saying, hey, how would you like to be a judge?